Welcome to the Great Awakening Show. I am Joanne-Divine Life Yogini, and on the show this week, we have Justin Carpenter. Justin is an awakened seeker of truth and divine wisdom. His Wandering Towards Truth YouTube channel posts community and health Q&A sessions with the amazing Charlie Freak and people from all around the world.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Justin, welcome to the Great Awakening Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Lovely to have you here and with you in that beautiful part of Mexico. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's Mexico is such a beautiful space. I mean, and I've just recently started exploring it, but I mean, just to give a quick look around for everyone here, this is Yelapa, which is just this magical, beautiful space, and it's a coastal town. So and there's no roads to it, so you can't get to it any other way except for by boat. And
beautiful
so,
for meditation. I wish I was there with you right now. So Justin, let's go for it. The first question that I want to ask you is, what does this Great Awakening mean for you and for us all?
Wow, that's a big question. I mean, it's really just a coming of age. I'd say it's us stepping back into our divinity. You know, we're playing this separation game, as I like to call it. You know, we came from unity consciousness where we were all one with God, and we decided to separate and play this game, this illusion. Separation is the illusion. So we decided to go as far away from God as we possibly could. And so we drifted and we drifted and we drifted, and we went down, 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 down. And that's kind of where we are now. But this Great Awakening is the loop at the bottom. It's the catastrophe where we hit rock bottom and we decide to come back up again. So us stepping back into who we truly are, which is children of God, and recognizing that we are going back to source. We are going back to this unification. That's what the Great Awakening is us remembering what we're truly here to do, which is to go on this journey and to step back into it. So this manifests in many different ways, both internally with each of our individual journeys and what we're experiencing and what we're coming into realization of, and then externally with what's going on in the out there world and society as well. But it's this pivot, it's this change in momentum. You know, it's huge, it's massive. But
it's the greatest time to be alive. It's just, and I really believe I didn't know that there was so much darkness in this world. And now I realize that the darkness and the contrast, it's pushing us to want to be and merge with the divine, with God, Goddess. It really is. People, the more that it comes out, the more I can see people, you know, going to prayer, going to meditation, you know, help us, God, help us. It's forcing us to come back to God, which is beautiful.
It truly is. Yeah, it's this perfect catalyst to get us to realign. It's because God knew that we would step into this journey and try and go through this experience. And so we have all of these teaching mechanisms, like the darkness that's perpetrated in the world, which is just a manifestation of our ego. And our ego is just a manifestation of this teaching mechanism to show us what it's like to live without God and how to learn within that. And there are some powerful learning experiences that we can do with having those unique experiences. So it's all part of just the game.
Yeah, that's what it is. The big, beautiful game of awakening. But tell us what you believe, because I've been a yogini for so many years, and I've been on my journey as well, and cleansing and purification, all of that, and doing the work, the inner work, because I believe this journey back to God, this journey back to oneness, back to the Goddess, but is a journey home to who we are. It's our true self. Because I think, first of all, we look outside of ourselves in that 3D world, go to all the religions, look outside, find a guru, find someone, but it's within us. We then look within. because that God goddess is within that journey, isn't it? The Christ consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been trained, organized society has trained us to always be looking out there to finding the answers, always be looking for someone else, to be looking for a savior, to be looking for, a guru, a master, a teacher, or a government, or an expert, or a scientist, or a doctor, and whatever the case may be. When in reality, all the answers lie within, and that's truly where we connect with God. And so, doing the work, as you say, is just clearing away those layers that keep us away from our true centeredness, which is that stillness and silence, being in that present moment and truly going within, so that God can give us everything that we need. Because all God is just the one infinite consciousness that we come from, and all this one infinite consciousness wants to do is to expand and create and grow. So when we get out of our way, when we stop letting the ego take the reins, when we truly allow that divine flow to flow through us, then all it does is align us to that place of maximum potential, to that space of maximum abundance where we can create in the most beautiful way possible. And so, and because that's all we truly want to do is expand and grow.
That's
That's amazing.
beautiful. That's so beautiful. And that's what we're here for, isn't it? Co-creation. We can't create without God, goddess. We are co-creators with that. We are born and made, created in the image of God. But that's what it is. That's what I'm learning at the moment about I'm not saying me is not separate anymore. I'm saying we, us, meaning me and God, but both of us, we are co-creating this together. It's an us job, isn't it? Is this co-creation process. And so expand on that, how, this manifestation, because we are all creating, aren't we, all the time?
Yeah, we are the producers of reality. And so based on our consciousness and where we point it is what flows forth. And so all this is just different layers of consciousness kind of stacked onto each other, and each one provides a different perspective, a different vantage point, so that we can learn and create from different levels, because it's hard to do it all at once. So God was like, well, let's just create this idea that we're all separate so that we can do it at different levels and come about it from different points, but it's all journeying back to that same point. It's all coming back to that one, so that we can, I like to see it as this pendulum swing. We start with singularity on one end of the swing, and then it swings into the duality, into the separation, and we get to that farthest upswing where we are separate as possible. And then this is the great awakening. This is when we start to shift momentum and come back towards that singularity. And then when we get back to that singularity again, we compare notes. We have a party. We say, okay, that we join our collective experiences into this collaborative tapestry that we've just woven. We take a step back and look at this beautiful painting that we've all contributed to, and we enjoy that for as long as we want, until we decide to go in and play the game again, and then we start to swing back. And it's just this repeated pattern of it's like God's eternal blinking, this blinking of consciousness. It's always going back and forth, and
It's
we are
like,
just
yeah,
part of that grand
yeah.
experience.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like the in and out breath as well, isn't it? The God breathes out
Yeah, exactly.
creation and
Yes.
brings it back in like this. It's never ending. It's wow.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit. I want a little bit hear about your awakening. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I mean, I've always been an inquisitive soul. I've always questioned things. Like, I've never really had just because someone says so, that's just got to be the way that it is. And I always joke that my first sort of mystery or conspiracy that I unraveled was Santa Claus when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I just would not stop bugging my parents about asking questions about how this guy did all these sorts of things and how this all worked, and they just got so tired of telling me these lies, which are lies essentially, that they eventually just told me the truth. And then from then on, I think my first dabble within that realm of truly questioning everything was when I was about 15. I watched the documentary Loose Change, which covered the 9/11 hoax and how that was perpetrated and all the loose ends that couldn't be tied up within that. And so then from that point, I knew if there was this big lies out there, what else was untruthful? Where was the truth? And so I just became this quest, always looking for the truth, always trying to find it, knowing that it was elusive just based in how the society was structured. And there were periods off and on where I was more heavily into researching things and sometimes not, but always with the back of my mind of like, there's more to this. There's more to this experience, and I'm not just going to settle with this story that I've been told. And then I would say it's only been the past year or so, coming into meeting Charlie Freak and coming into his teachings and really just seeing that holistic view of like, okay, this all makes sense. Like there's one true story. We are going on this hero's journey, and we're supposed to experience all of this sort of negative, this darkness, and we're supposed to overcome it. Like it's like every story we've ever been told. We're supposed to step in as the hero and slay the beast and rise and overcome and have that happy ending. And we're going through that right now. But it's amazing to see the syncretic links between how it all works together. And there's no right or wrong, religion per se. It's all just telling the same story. It's all
It
just
is.
telling this one beautiful story that we're all a part of. And so yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I mean, I didn't get into too many details, but yeah, I've just always been inquisitive, and I love sharing authentically. So just
Yeah.
any chance that I get to
Yeah.
shine within that is
And
always a
the
beautiful thing.
biggest story of all is, I think, the powers that be, the globalist agenda, cabal, whatever you want to call them, hiding the fact that we are divine. I think that has been, that we really are divine. We have the Kundalini within us. We have the Christ consciousness within us. And to rise and raise that up, I think that is the biggest, and we create with that. We are God. We are Goddess within. And I think that has been the biggest travesty of our existence, not knowing that everyone just thinks that we're just this human flesh and blood, person who just goes to work and does, is this normal, and there's no magic. People think there's no magic. We have the alchemical magic within us, which is just incredible.
It truly is. Yeah, I mean, that you summed it up. That's the grand conspiracy that ties them all together. Every layer of organized society fed by these dark magicians, the cabal is all designed to take us away from our divinity, to get us to forget that we are children of God, and that's what we're here to do, to make us forget the story of why we came here. Because what better way to make slaves than to have people forget who they truly are, and that you can't be enslaved when you know that you're a child of God. So that's it. Everything else is built on that lie.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And, that's why the contrast, as I said, the contrast is here to help us go within, to help us find that. It really is. And, meditation, cleaning the body, because I know that are you a frugivore? You're just a fruitarian?
Yes.
Completely fruit only?
I'm a frugivore. I mean, I eat vegetables occasionally, so there's but primarily I'd say it's about 95% fruit, and then I'll have some vegetables every now and again, but and occasionally some nuts and seeds. Like we had some sesame seeds in the fruit sushi wraps last night, which was delicious. But
lovely. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
but I'm 100% frugivore for sure.
Yeah.
All raw food, and so is my dog.
Wow, that's
She's primarily
amazing. And your
frugivore
dog
fruit,
just
raw.
survives on fruit.
Mhm.
Wow.
She thrives. She thrives. I mean, she's never had more energy. Like her coat is super shiny, and she's just
I bet
this
she will never
perfect
go to the
happy
vet.
dog, and
She will never get ill. She will never go to the vet, and she will never get ill.
Nope. Yeah, she loves mangoes. She loves cantaloupe. She loves avocados. She loves cucumbers. Like,
Wow.
she's great.
Wow. Because, that's what I believe. As we ascend, as we become, as we do the work and we do our meditations and do our yoga and do all, and start eating, our bodies become lighter because we are all merging, evolving into the light body over how many thousands of years that may be. But that's what we're all, that is true heaven on earth, when we all merge together in that heavenly spiritual energy body. So I know, therefore our food needs become lighter. We don't want that harsh, dense energy that keeps us low, does it?
Yeah, well, it's part of the design of the cabal as well, is to make sure that we eat and consume things that toxify our bodies and weigh us down and keep us rooted in these sort of carnal desires. That's why some of these, foods are so tempting, because they're designed to be that way. They're designed to be alluring, to kind of keep us locked down into that state. But like you said, the more that we let go of the temptations of the physical and truly recognize that we are light beings and we don't need any of that, then there are varying levels of stepping into that. But the fruit is likely the easiest one to step into, because fruit is so tantalizing in general. It's so delicious, and it's designed for us. Like there's nothing else out there that just grows right there for you. If you don't pick it, it's just going to fall off, and nothing's going to happen with it. It is a gift from God. It is truly there for us.
It surely is. And all the streets should be lined with fruit cheese for free, picking, because the
Yes.
energy,
Yes.
I call it prana. I call the prana, which is the life force energy, which is the divine love light energy of God, Goddess. That is the life force energy. And we need to consume that life force energy. We do it through the breath and through the food that we eat. So eating all that dead animals and dead food that is in the supermarkets, that has zero life force energy in it, doesn't it? Horrible.
Right. Yeah, it's got very little, if any at all, and it's just creating that density, making us more full of matter, where everything matters, instead of becoming light, to where we rise above and keep going. So
Lovely. I
it's
love
just
that.
it's all a choice. Like literally everything is all a choice. Do you want to go up or down? Do you want to go left or right? It towards love or fear, God or Satan. It's all that same bifurcation. It's that same choice. And it's life or death, essentially, and that's why beautiful texts like the Bible teach this so clearly. It's like, which one do you choose? You get to choose. There's free will involved, and we get to choose to either suffer and die, or we get to choose to live eternally as as light beings. And here's the handbook on how to do it. Just read it and follow
But
it.
the handbook was never meant to be taken literally. The handbook is an
No.
allegorical, mythical story of our physiological, incredible, alchemical body that God has created for us. It is incredible, And once you start going into that, and the teachings of Charlie Freak, that's just risen all of us into understanding about the true meaning of the Bible, is phenomenal.
It truly is. Yeah, it's this I mean, the Bible's written in such a way to where if you start to believe it literally, then you kind of look foolish, because the tales are so fantastical that they're not meant to be taken literally, but they're so fantastical so that you don't forget them, so that you remember these powerful stories. And like you said, there are so many layers that you can read them, so many different, it's like encoded into it, because that's the sort of comedic value of that's God's comedy coming out, in the sense that there are so many layers within the Bible, that when you take the left-hand path of the cabal and those who seek to subjugate and control over everyone else, you can't actually read these kind of texts from their true intended meaning, because you're so stuck into that left brain thinking of analyzing and taking things literally, that you can't even see the allegorical encoded portions of these messages.
Mm.
Um, And so that's why these texts are so preserved, because they can't be read and distorted by these evil ones, because they don't even know how to read it. They can't
Yeah,
even
that's
figure
right.
out
They don't.
what's in it.
Yeah, they don't know how to decode it at all, do they? It's incredible. That's amazing. Wow, wow. And tell us about the community, your community, because it's just awakening. You've got that community over there with Charlie, and you're building it up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would be hesitant to say it's a community. I mean, it is a community, but it's at such a beginning stage of it that I don't want to advertise it too
Yeah. No.
much, because
Yeah. Yeah.
we're
Starting.
really just getting started. But it is a dream where we want to have a group of like-minded individuals that are just all about the truth, all about doing the work, and all about finding God within each and every moment. And within that, it will be certainly aligned with the Garden of Eden lifestyle, which is about eating the fruit, and no consuming of flesh and things of that nature. And yeah,
Thinking.
built in Mexico, where it's yeah, taking no thought is truly vital. That's a difficult one, and that's why it's important to do in stages, because you have to purify the body first before you can even really begin to look at the mind. Because if you start trying to do the mind, you get caught up in the layers of toxicity that have been brought onto you by what we consume as well. So it's really important to start with the body, cleanse that first, and then look at cleansing the mind and taking no thought, and being in that present space.
Yeah, because I think that is the most, we are all in this trap, this jail, this of our ego and our true self. And it's a constant battle, isn't
Hmm.
it? And every single human has this. And it's such a, it's, and I look at the ego now, that is really, and negative thoughts and self-doubt and all of that anger and all of that unworthiness, as that is Satan. That is the evil side, isn't it?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, the cabal is just an external representation of our internal ego. It's just the same thing manifest in the external world. It's just this entity that is self-created. It's illusory. It's not real, but all its entire the entire programming that it's built off of is all about subjugation and control, and ultimately self-consumption. So that's why you know it it never wins, because it always ends up consuming itself at the end of the day. But it's a helpful sort of teaching mechanism for us to realize what we have to do, and the work that is before us. So yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that,
And
but
yeah, and I think
it's
that everything that I
it's
think that everything that
yeah,
we've
go
been
ahead.
through, all the mistakes, everything, all the challenges, everything, we have to learn to bless it all. Bless everything, because that has all brought us, all the bad things that you did and all the mistakes. You've just got to bless it, because that frees you. Then forgive yourself, free yourself, bless yourself, and then you can move on and start being more in that godly goddess place in every moment, gradually every moment. You when that thought comes, instead of it running off into a million other thoughts, and then it's on a loop, and then you're just feeling really negative and really down, you're stopping it before it can go. And then it gets more and more and more, and then you're living more and more and more in that beautiful place of the present glorious moment of all possibilities.
Absolutely, yeah. Having that forgiveness is very vital, but it must certainly be equally as met with atonement. This idea that I know better, so I'm going to do better, and this idea that each and every day that I wake up, and each and every opportunity that I'm presented with, where I might have had a pitfall, where I fell down, I'm going to use that as leverage to say, you know what, this was a learning experience that I can grow from. I'm not going to dwell on it, but I'm going to use that as leverage, as a stepping stone to keep going and keep rising higher, keep casting my net to the right, as Charlie likes to say. Um,
Beautiful. I love that one.
so yeah,
Yeah.
that's really important.
And I want to know, Justin, this is really the greatest time to be alive. And our souls brought us here at this time to go through this, to awaken, and to help as many people as possible to go through it as well. So how do you see this great awakening affecting the future, our future of humanity? How is it going to be? It's just,
Well, everything is it's all a choice. So it's all in flux as far as how long. I mean, ultimately, God wins. So
yeah,
there's no denying what's going to happen at the end of the day. But as far as how long it takes us to get there, how smooth of a transition that is, it's completely all a choice. So I see it as we're probably going to go through a bit of a tumultuous period where there's going to be a sort of a split in society, where there will be half of society that continues to go down into this fear-based programming, and they'll probably migrate towards cities and create these, vaccine microchipped and everyone, but it'll be a choice. No one will be forced to go there. It'll just be, if you want to live that way, then you're more than welcome to. And then the rest of us, I speak for myself, will choose to go live in the real world and commune with the Mother Earth and step back into our divinity and go on this path that we're truly here to do. And so that split will happen toward time, and who knows how long it will take for that sort of reunification to happen. But it'll be an interesting period to watch. But the more that we sort of do the work now, and the more that we recognize that each and every one of us are powerful beings, and by stepping into what needs to be done and addressing my internal cabal, addressing my internal parasites, and addressing everything within myself that I'm projecting in the out there world, the more that I can help smoothen that transition as much as possible to keep us from having to spend as much time in that sort of tumultuous in-between period.
that's right. Earth peace through self peace. It's all about us individually, getting to that place, because then we lead by example. We can only change ourselves, can't we? So we're going, and then people can, that's what it is. It's an individual thing. But wow, that's just profound. It really is. And tell us, for our audience, give us some beautiful guidances and advice about getting through this time, because we know it's going to get a little bit heavier. We know that the light and the love and the goodness has already won. It just takes time. That's in the spiritual. It just takes time, doesn't it, to come down in and manifest in our physical reality, which is causing all of this craziness and chaos, because it has to awaken as many people as possible. So just give our audience, some guidances about getting through this great shift.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's vital to, I think there are fascinating aspects that we can tune into and pay attention to and watch as this sort of movie unfolds and as we see this awakening occur. But if it becomes overwhelming, then turn all of it off. Turn all the external influences off. Don't look at it at all, and truly focus on where you are and in each and every moment. Truly get present, because the more that we distract ourselves away from the present moment, that's the only space where God exists, is in the present moment. Anytime we're in the out there world, anytime we're living in the past or hypothesizing about the future, we're intentionally moving ourselves away from God. So the more that we can bring ourselves back into that present moment. So just, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Say you're chopping carrots or something like that. Like, truly watch your hands and be present with that. Be present with that knife as you move at each blade, and try not to drift off into thought anywhere else. And there will be thoughts that come in, but this is that pure meditative state that's not, I think there's some value in the teaching practices of like how to meditate and things like that can be helpful for people, but ultimately it's finding that space in each and every moment, so that no matter where I am or what am I doing, I'm always in that pure meditative state of just truly being present. So that would be the biggest thing that I would focus on if anyone's struggling with the day-to-day, and then just some helpful tools to kind of get into that space of alignment is go outside in nature, you know, go commune with the mother, like go put your hands on a tree, go hug a tree, like go put your bare feet on the ground, go sit in the sun, go swimming, like any of these ways that we can truly connect with the elements and connect with the earth around us are always going to be very grounding and get us into that space to where we can breathe. And then that would be another one, is just really focus on the breath. The breath is such a powerful tool. If you can, every time you breathe, just make sure it's through the diaphragm and those deep belly breaths. You know, that's where the Buddha, why the Buddha had such a big belly. It was not because he ate junk food and was fat. It's because he took those big belly Buddha breaths.
Yeah.
And so the more that we can take those big belly breaths, the more that we can get out of this upper chest breathing, this shallow breathing that we've been taught to do, and truly commune with God and the ether around us. So that would be another one. And then and then focusing on the diet too. You know, if the less that if we consume death, then we're gonna have death. And it's as simple as that. You know, if you consume life, then you're gonna have life. And there's nothing more living than the fruit. So it's truly quite simple. So if you can find any ways to incrementally step towards that direction of, like, whether that's, say, I'm going to replace all my breakfast with just fruit. That's such a powerful step to do. Or any way that you can kind of shift and align towards that direction is just going to be such a monumental step towards that direction. So those would be some practical tips that I'd share.
That's beautiful. Even if it was just, you know, slowly, because you can't go all in one go, but it's just a slow transition, isn't it? Getting a NutriBullet and doing your smoothie with all of your fruits in for breakfast. They really fill you up for the whole morning. That's all I have. And then I just have a little tiny, just a little tiny one meal a day, and that's it. So, but they are wonderful. It's so important. All the breath, food, just being in presence, meditation. It's so important, all of it. And it's so simple, isn't it? It's not, you don't have to sit there for hours and hours in meditation. Like everything that you do, what you just said then is the key to be mindful of every action. Being mindful means being in the moment with what you are doing. You're not thinking about anything else in the past or in the future. You're here now, present, at one with God in the simple moment. It's so beautiful.
Truly. And it's all free too. There's nothing that has any cost to it. It's the path we must walk, and it has no cost to it. And it's insanity that we even have to pay for fruit that grows off of trees freely, but we'll get to that space where we don't have to pay for that either. But all of this is given to us: the breath, the meditation, the fruit.
It's all free. Yeah. It's so beautiful. And it's so important, because when we go in and that meditation to be with that beautiful energy and that bliss and that love light energy, connect to that connection. That's the only thing that fills us up. We can't get that in any of that 3D world out there. So just, always come in and connect. Beautiful. Justin, you are amazing. Thank you so much. And all of our listeners will just love listening to you. And we will do it again for UK Health Radio. So I just want to say thank you for being on the Great Awakening Show.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and I really appreciate you and all that you're doing.